Hi everyone, welcome to Loving Guidance. Mama Marina here. Today's Loving Guidance topic actually covers all four of the Loving Guidance categories: health, self, relationships, and the mystical unknown. And it is impermanence. Today's topic is the topic of impermanence. Impermanence is the only reality. And so, what is impermanence? It means nothing is permanent, everything is temporary. So, in regard to health, as we go through health challenges, they're all temporary. If you catch a cold, you're going to most likely overcome that cold. Your immune system will kick in, it'll battle that cold, and eventually you will feel well again. And that holds true with most of our health ailments all throughout life. We have sinus issues and they go away. We have allergies and they go away. And so all throughout life, as we go along, we come across various health ailments, and then usually we take ourselves to the doctor and we try to find some sort of treatment for whatever we're experiencing, and then we get better and life progresses forward. And so that's the aspect on health. It's all temporary with regard to our ailments, and we just have to remember that it's not permanent. Even though we might be feeling miserable while suffering from the flu, let's say, and our body aches and we're just miserable, and the fever and the nose and everything that comes along with experiencing that particular illness, it's not forever. We're not going to feel that way forever, even though when we're in the throes of it, it feels like we are. The fact is that we're not. It's temporary. It's just a blip in our entire lifetime. And so that is how health and particularly certain illnesses are a temporary part of our life, and even chronic conditions. If you have, let's say, diabetes and so forth, whether we want to face this or not, they're actually temporary too. Even though it seems like we will have them forever, we will either find a way to get off of our diabetes medications by improving our own health and wellness, and so we won't need that anymore because we have found a way to, again, overcome it, or it's going to check us out, right? So it's still temporary. And so even chronic conditions, they are not forever. And so then when we move on to the next category of self, we ourselves, and this is a really harsh reality, we ourselves are impermanent. We're temporary. Our lifetime is temporary. And although we try to run away from the reality that we are one day going to pass away, it's still a truth. Like, we can't really do anything. We can't earn enough money to prevent ourselves from passing away, buying ourselves out of that fate. It is just what's going to happen. As being a life being, this physical body is a temporary vessel, and this body does come to a close. I always think of it as a bubble, right? So the bubble bursts and the soapy solution breaks away, and the air within that bubble returns to that from which it came, and the soapy solution falls down to earth to where it came. So the same holds true for us. Our life energy will eventually be released back to that from which it came, and our physical being, our body, will return back to the earth from which it came. It came from the earth, right? So that is, and it grew from the earth. If you think about it, when you were a baby, you would eat stuff, and as you grew, you would eat stuff, and those foods that you would consume would help your body, would become a human body. It would become part of you, a part of your cellular makeup, and you would grow. You would turn into the adult that you are. And so that is all of the earth. It is all of the earth, and so it returns back to the earth. So we ourselves are temporary. And everything that we experience in life is temporary, no matter how pleasant or unpleasant those experiences are. So if you are frustrated with your job environment or the people that you work with, that job is just a temporary, it's a little sliver in your entire lifetime. It's not all eternity that you will be working at that place. It's just one chapter of your entire career. And so, most likely, I mean, most of us don't just get one job and do it all the way through to retirement. Some do, but not everybody. And so, most likely, if you're in a job that makes you miserable, it's just a sliver, and it's a matter of time before you either leave them and say sayonara, or they fire you and you end up somewhere else, getting a new job and meeting new work colleagues, new boss, and so forth, gaining some new skills. So all of our experiences in life are temporary. They're temporary. When our dog passes away, or our cat, our beloved pet passes away, and we're in a state of grief, that's just a temporary phase and a temporary emotional state that we are going through. It will not be for the duration of our entire lifetime. Emotional states ebb and flow. They flux. I call them brewing. They brew all these different emotions. We can go from sad to frustrated to bored to happy to laughing to all of these sensations, these emotions and sensations that we're feeling. They're all temporary. They all have and they come and go, right? You might be happy, and then all of a sudden you have maybe 20 different emotions between the next round that you're feeling happiness again. And so just know that each one is distinct and impermanent in and of itself. And then the same thing holds true with our mind. So the things that we were thinking about when we were 5 years old and what we were worried about back then may not necessarily, and most likely are not the same things that we are concerned with and thinking about today as adults. And so know that what you're thinking about and those mental energies that go on in your mind, that they're temporary as well. They're not forever. And so what your worries are today, what your concerns are today may not necessarily be what you're focused on. What you're focused on achieving today may not be that same thing 5 years from now, 10 years. Your mind will be elsewhere, focused on other things, thinking about other things. So if you're just constantly repeating that, I don't know, that your lover just cheated on you, or through your divorce, well, how did it fall apart, or whatever it is that you have brewing inside of your mind right now, know that it's temporary, it's impermanent. So impermanence is our reality. Everything is temporary, nothing is permanent. And so those are the factors that I want you to think about when you go through your life, realizing that what you're feeling is temporary, good and bad. So if you're sad right now, you're grieving, that's not going to be your sensation and your emotional state forever. And so just know that. And the same holds true with happiness. Like I said, you may be totally elated and laughing and just overjoyed, but there are going to be other things that come along in life. You're going to feel boredom or frustrated or whatever, sad, and then happy again, or excited, or looking forward, anticipation. There's so many different emotions for us to experience in this life. And so all of them will have their part and play their role, if you will, in your life, in its due time, in your lifetime. So then the third aspect is relationships. And impermanence plays a very significant role with regard to our relationships. When we're young, we don't fully understand that the people that we love, the people who are grandparents, our aunts and uncles, our cousins, our father and mother, that they're temporary. They're playing, it's like a movie. When you're watching a movie and there are certain characters and suddenly they're written out of the script. Either in a movie they are die or they move away or whatever the storyline is in the movie, suddenly one character that started out in there is no longer in that storyline, or they come back, like they're missing out of the storyline for a while, but then they come back. The same holds true for the people in our life. They're a part of our life usually, for they play their role, they play, their part, if you will, in our life story. If we have a storybook, especially for the first 18 years of our life, they are helping to write our life story for us. Once we become adults, or take the reins of our life and really own our life story, their roles, they play a role, but we own the story. We're the ones actually authoring our own life story. And so, going back, so when we're young, we don't realize that our grandparents are going to one day be written out of our life story and not be able to come back. They're going to be gone permanently. And that's maybe a factor that people say, well, that's pretty permanent. Somebody dies. Well, not necessarily. So if you believe in afterlife, if you believe in reincarnation, if you believe that people move to let's say, another realm, and they're able to communicate with us in this realm as they're over in that other realm, then there's still a continuation. It's not, it's maybe feels like a permanent ending in their role in our life, but sometimes it gets transformed into different aspects. Like they come back and they communicate with us via dreams. And so even death may not necessarily be a permanent ending, though we take it to be and we perceive it as such, right? But in our lifetime, certain characters will be written out of our script, and we won't be able to necessarily have them in the same ways. That, like, we can't hug them anymore. They're in a coffin or they're in an urn. We can't necessarily pick up the phone and call them like we used to. We have to do it in different means. Our communication with those who have passed on, our loved ones, are going to be in different ways. And so even that is impermanent, because we ourselves, even though we feel this loss, this eternal loss, it's really not, because we ourselves will pass away and most likely end up in that other realm or dimension or whatever. And there's a continuation that we do not currently fully understand or realize. So, continuing on, everybody that we love them with the keeping impermanence in mind, that they're playing a role and their role is temporary in terms of your lifetime, in terms of your life story. Keep that in mind when you're interacting with the people that you love, because either you will pass away and bring a type of closure to your role in their life, or they will pass away and bring a type of closure to their role in your life story. And so make sure that you are genuinely valuing the moments that you're with your loved ones. Make sure that you realize that the true quality and worth of those interactions while they are happening and able to happen before the closure and before they are written out of your life script or you're written out of theirs. So that's relationships. And that holds true not just with humans, our human loved ones, our friends, our family, and colleagues, whoever we actually really connect with on a soul level. But it can be even our pets and the pets that we love and value. Pets have a very short lifetime as compared to our lifetime. And so they're usually, from being a puppy or a kitten all the way to when they pass away, it's just a little phase in our entire lifetime. So they're playing a certain role in that, in their lifetime, within our lifetime, right? So value them really, really, when you're walking your dog, when you're snuggling with your cat, whatever it is, your bunny, your whatever pet you is your favorite choice, value their temporary lifetime, value them and that connection that you have with them. So that's the third. And then the fourth, the mystical unknown aspect to impermanence, is what I touched upon earlier, that most everything is impermanent, including our universe and that the things that go on in and within the universe. Stars, they come to an end. The sun is theorized to eventually come to a close. We're not going to have the bright, beautiful sunlight that we normally get. What are we going to do then? And so as the universe is changing and just doing its own, it has its own like life, its own lifetime, its own dynamics. That's the word I was looking for. It has its own dynamics going on. Earth may be a very temporary, impermanent part of the entire cosmos. We don't know what the future of Earth and the universe, the galaxies, everything, all of it, what will happen. That's the unknown. That's the mystery, right? And so impermanence is what happens. We know that there have been stars that are no longer in existence, and they once were. Just like we know that centuries ago there were people in existence, but they're no longer in existence to what we realize here on Earth, right? They might still be a part of Earth with regard to reincarnation, but how that works and operates, we do not fully understand. And so, and then, whether there's alien life and all of these things, everything is impermanent. Nothing lasts forever. And so value yourself, realize that you have a temporary lifetime in this particular body, in this particular snapshot in time. Value yourself, value your health, and realize that any health ailments that you might be experiencing won't be forever. You'll either overcome them or they're going to check you out, one or the other. Usually, it's one or the other. We don't like that, but it is true. And then, of course, our relationships, everybody that we're interacting with. If you have a boss that you absolutely despise, it's not forever. You can change your job, or they might end up applying for a different job or a different role and not be your boss for much longer. So there are dynamics, there are energies, there are fluxes happening every day. And as we're going along, rolling, Steve Winwood's song, Roll With It, Baby. Roll with it. Roll with life. There's a flow to it. Just let it steer yourself. You're the captain of yourself. You're the pilot. You're the driver. However, whatever identity you want to take on as being the leader of your life. You're the author of your life. Make sure that you own that fully, wholeheartedly, and you make the calls as to who you allow to remain in your life in terms of your relationships, or who you allow not only to remain in your life, but to enter into your life, who you will associate with. And then who you're willing to cut ties with. It's time. I've experienced you. We've had our interaction, our dynamic. It's done. It's not a relationship that I care to carry into my future. I don't care to have it right now in my present. I don't care to carry it into the future. And so you sever certain relationship ties, and that's okay to do. It's okay to do with your friends, with your family, whoever it is, work colleagues, whoever you need to cut out of your life story, you cut them out. You write, you're the author, you write them out of the script. And so you know, you may not, it doesn't have to be so morbid. You don't have to write them out through death or whatever, wish them any harm. That's not it. Let them live their entire life. Let karma, you know, play out in their life. Let the law of rebalance play out in their life. It's going to play out in yours as well. None of us escape the universal laws. The phenomena of karma, the universal law of rebalance, all of that comes to us. It's just a part. It's as real as gravity itself. So you own you. You make sure that you take the reins on your life and realize the importance of impermanence, because it is really important to not shy away from the fact that even we ourselves are impermanent, and that our life is temporary, and the experiences within that temporary life are also temporary. Everything from our feelings to where our mind, what we're thinking about, what we're preoccupied with, all of it is temporary. And so appreciate, that's where being in the moment is important, because you need to truly appreciate and absorb what you're sensing, what you're experiencing, and do it a bit strategically. Make sure that you're living the life that you want to live, so that when your ultimate final day comes, your finale, that you check out of this body, this lifetime, and you write the end on your life story, that it's a story that you're proud of. It's a story that you're happy you experienced what you did. You're happy with what you gave back in terms of whatever it is that you gave back, your volunteer work, your projects that you completed and allowed others to help grow and turn into reality, whatever it is. If you think of, you know, the musicians of the past, Elvis and Prince and Michael Jackson, and all of what they gave back to humanity in terms of music, in terms of musical genius. And so what are you giving back? What are you leaving as your legacy? Those are the things, and realize that those two are impermanent. They won't be forever, because generations who knew of you, knew of your work, knew of all of that, eventually they'll die off, and that knowledge will get lost and lost. And we're talking way far out, right? But you want to be, the important part is that you are happy with your life story, what you've experienced in this temporary lifetime, and what you've given back in terms of your own little legacy in this lifetime as well. So be proud of your temporary life story. Definitely be proud of that. So impermanence, make sure it's a little gloomy, and it's also has its benefit, right? Nothing icky in our life will last forever. So that's the benefit part. Everything is impermanent, temporary, not going to last forever. And then the other icky part is the fact that nothing lasts forever. Everything is impermanent. And so we can't take life too seriously. And we shouldn't take life too seriously, because it all just fades. It all fades away with time. So enjoy it. Enjoy your lifetime while you have it, and the experiences within it. And definitely don't be afraid or hesitant to give back and leave any sort of mark, if you will, a fingerprint on this earth of your existence, of your lifetime, while you're still here to do so. So that is Mom's loving guidance for today. The topic of impermanence, how we can use it, you know, for the good and the bad, and just keeping it in perspective, keeping life in perspective with regard to that, and using it, in my opinion, for the betterment of us, to ease our mind, knowing that something's not going to be gloomy forever and sunny days are ahead, and to use it to our advantage, you know, to realize that, hey, while I'm alive, I want to crank out some stuff. I better hustle and get moving and shaking on getting this book written, or going and auditioning for this play, or whatever it is that you want to do, writing this screenplay or whatever. If you're an artist, whatever it is, I better hustle and become a CEO and launch my own business that I've been wanting to do, create that game. So that's Mom's loving guidance to you. Take in your life, guys. Really know that it is worthwhile. And until next time, I will leave you with that. I would appreciate your loving thoughts on today's discussion of impermanence, and share in the comments what you think, what ways you use impermanence to ease your mind, and to live by, rules to live by as you have interactions with others and experiences. And then give a thumbs up if this topic resonated with you. And then, of course, subscribe if you want to continue to join, continue to hear other loving guidance, and to join our loving guidance family and community. We'd love to have you. So join aboard, click that subscribe button. And until next time, my loves, I love you, and we will chat again soon.